did, only to advise that the problem looked like to be a city problem. Another call to Marvin, who was in court that day, brought Brandon from the city to take a look. He soon determined that the problem was with the meter apparatus. He was professional, apologetic, and kind. Brandon went to obtain parts and came to install them himself. He did the work, got the water back on, reset the meter box, filled the hole, and replaced the grass. For some time, it was not entirely clear who was responsible, but once that became clear, the city addressed the matter and restored our water. I appreciate the manner in which the problem was addressed and the kindness of those who helped. I felt so strongly about this that it needed my public appreciation and commendation. Sincerely, David Holden.
Thank you. Thank you, David. And thank you to staff. Do we have anyone else who'd like to speak during public testimony at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 8, reading of proclamation and special presentation by Mayor. We have River Oaks Fire Department for receiving EMS life-saving recognition from Parkland Hospital. Marvin?
They're not here tonight, so
we'll move that to the next one.
I'll just do it the next one.
Okay. Now we'll move to consent agenda items. All items under this section are recommended for approval for the consent agenda. These items are of a routine nature and require only brief deliberation by council. Council reserves the right to remove any item on the consent agenda for further deliberation. Those items are A, approved minutes from May 10, 2022 regular council meeting, B, approved minutes from May 17th special call council meeting, and C, approved bills payable for period ending May 24th. Do we have any requests?
There was just one little typo, Marvin, in the minutes under at the end of the meeting, and should be AND should be AN, related to what I said.
Which ones?
At the very end of the meeting, the closing comments.
Okay.
Just a typo. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve consent items A through C with the noted correction. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. We have nothing for item number 10. Item number 11, Marvin did tell me that due to his family issue, Dan is not going to be here. I don't know that we've always had a full council, but given that he's got a personal issue, unless any council people feel strongly, I'd like to move that until the 14th, hoping that we have everybody here. So
Makes sense.
We'll do that. Now we'll move to item number 12, which is discussion and/or action on a complaint from Shelley Alizio at 4852 Barbara regarding irrigation meter account.
Okay, so I purchased the property in January of this year. When I went to set up my account, I was told, since it had the second unit, there were the 2 meters on there, I was told that the second meter was for the apartment. But I let them know at that time that the water's been on. Whenever I had the inspection, the water was on. They seemed to think that somebody had cut the lock that was on the meter. They said it had previously been locked off. But I let them know that there's water to the apartment. They said they would bill it together and that it should be for the apartment. When I got the first bill, actually it was before I got the first bill, I was doing some repairs. I was like repairing a cutoff valve, so I had to cut off the water at the meter. When I went to cut it off, at first I did the first meter, which was to the house, but I guess there was still water on the line, so it was running, so I'm like, well, maybe it's the wrong meter. I went to cut off the second one, and then I noticed it was spinning. So I'm like, oh. I was like, so I don't know where that's going. So I went and checked, and when I paid the first bill, I told them, like, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to the apartment. I don't know where it's going. I noticed it was in line with an irrigation thing, so I told them, maybe it's having to do with the sprinklers. I didn't touch it after that. I asked, well, if I'm not using this, do I have to pay the bill? I'm like, well, it's a minimum bill because it's an active account. I'm like, okay. And then the following month, the sprinklers were on an automatic timer, and that came on. So I'm like, well, it's not going to the sprinkler, so when I got the second bill, I noticed that there was still a consumption of one. I was like, this has been off, I haven't touched it, I don't know why there's any consumption, and if there's water going anywhere, I don't know where it's going, so I don't want it on my property. So I asked them to shut it off. And then when I got the third bill, not only did I still have the bill for the irrigation after they called, they had to finally pull permits and notice that it was in fact, they came when Marcus was home to check on the meter, because I asked them to, and they said that it was in fact an irrigation meter, it was running the line, and that it was bubbling up, so it was inoperative. So I don't even know where it went to begin with, but it doesn't go to anything that is in plumbing that I've encountered on the property. So not only did I still have the bill for the irrigation, I was told that it was 6 weeks back, so I was still going to have yet another bill. At this point, I've already paid $232 for something that's been on a total of like 5 seconds that I've never used. But then my primary bill was $65 more. It was like $180. And my consumption this month was less than the month before. And just on average, we use less than like an average 2-person household. When I owned property before with my ex-husband, we averaged about 700. I found 2 old bills, about 700 usage. The 3 months I've been there, we've averaged 325. So I'm just trying to get some resolution for this.
Okay, Marvin,
I'm gonna let Ryan speak on it.
Okay.
But the 2-unit charge is because there's 2 units on that meter, and that's in the city ordinance. The fact of, being billed for something that hasn't been disconnected, it's also in the ordinance that it's a minimum bill. So that's where we have it right now.
So, in my memo, I did go through and make some adjustments off her bill already. We're working right now with $29.50 for just the irrigation. She was credited back on the garbage, on the water and sewer, so her bill was higher because we switched it over and made that an apartment and apartment sewer. And then we went through and credited back that $88.33. So she's really just looking at the 3 months of the $29.50 that she's wanting to get waived at this time.
So $90 roughly.
Yeah.
In what, it's hard, there's a lot of detail
Yeah.
in there about, so can you try to boil it down, make it a little more simple, the part that's in dispute now, what that represents?
Yeah, so the way it was set up before was they thought it was 2 accounts, that the one was the
Apartment
main house, and then, yeah. So on an irrigation account, they're only charged that one fee, the $29.50.
But is that a factor? Or is it apartment and house, or is it house and irrigation system?
The way it is that house, A and B, as far as the apartment and the house, they're both on the same meter.
Okay.
So there were kind of some extra charges in there that weren't needed to be paid by her.
So the remaining $30 is because of the irrigation
Yes.
fee? And that is what is,
Yes.
that second meter is for?
Yes.
And people do that so that their watering in the winter doesn't roll into their sewer?
Yeah, there's no sewer on there whatsoever. Yeah, they're just gonna pay the $215 taxes and that $29.50.
Okay. So, does it seem to you like that meter was doing this job, supplying the irrigation?
So, we did send Brandon out to do an investigation. He's the supervisor over in Public Works. He said that there was a broken service line, so there wasn't really any way to tell what it went to for us, because it was on, we didn't know where it went to.
Okay.
He did a further investigation on it, and he, found the broken meter box, and the double check was broken. So, there's no way that meter was functional for them. I think they used a total of like 5 cubic feet in just those couple months.
Okay. So in essence, it wasn't really working in
Right.
that time period?
Yes.
But, our policy is that if, for people that have these 2 meters, that it's a minimum